Yo, what up everyone? Welcome to part 2 of the Blender Basics course. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about 3D modeling, just some basic stuff, and we're going to learn about extruding and changing our cube shape here into something different so that we can start learning how to actually model. Now, before we get into that though, let's quickly make sure that we have this as our startup file. So if you haven't already seen the previous video, you want to delete your camera and light, and you can also select it here. Once they're deleted and you just have the cube here, make sure you go to File, Default, Save Startup File, and that way your startup file will always start in this view and we'll just have the cube there instead of the light and the camera. Now once we do that, we want to go to Edit, Preferences, and under Key Map we want to make sure that we have Tab for Pie menu. Now the reason we want to do that is because if you hit the tab key on your keyboard, what's going to happen is it's going to go into edit mode instead of having, if I hold it down, all these other options here, which may be beneficial for you, not right now, but later down the line in case you want to go to edit mode, you made your model, and then you want to sculpt it to add some details. This is going to help you cycle between it rather than having to change where you can go to the different workspaces, but you can also change it right here as well. But the quicker way to do it is just to have it with the pie menu, and you can just change it here. So we're automatically in object mode, and the way I know that is from up here, but also there's no components being shown here. So now when I select my cube and I hit tab and go to edit mode, all of a sudden it changes and we see these points, we see these lines, and the faces here. So let's talk about the components real quick. Every model is made up of 3 components. We have vertices, which is up here. You can change between them over here. So vertices are these points here at the end. If we select all 4, it's going to make a face. If we select 2, it's going to make an edge. If we do it this way, we got 2 edges selected. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can also just go into edge mode and select the different edges. And then we have face selection mode where we can select our different faces. And this is going to be the ways that you can select different parts of your model and then modify it or add to it to change the shape. And this is where the 3D modeling comes in. So let's go back to vertices mode. Most likely you're going to be in vertices mode most of the time, just because you can already, select an edge easily and do whatever. Or if we select all 4, now we got a face selected. So let's make sure we get all 4 selected here. Just remember, you just hold shift and left click to select multiple. We're going to hit E to extrude. Don't worry about the blue line. I know that it means Z-axis, but because we're extruding specifically from here, it's just going to pull it out on the X-axis. So if I hit X, it's the same thing. It's going to bring it out. And we're just going to move it here, and I'm going to left click to confirm that. And we're going to select these, and we're going to extrude this out. Now, in case you mess up, you right click. Just hit Control and Z to undo that, because the thing is, we don't want to right click and then do extrude again, because what's going to happen is now we created an issue called double verts. Now I'm not going to talk too much about it right now, but let me show you what that is. So if I select this vert, you can notice that it's not highlighting these endpoints like it kind of is right here. You can see that they're just black and not orange. And if I pull this apart, you can see there's an issue. We got overlapping verts. And if I do it again, we got another vert that's overlapping. So how do we get rid of this? Other than doing Control Z, let's say you messed up and that happens and they're still overlapping like that, you want to make sure you select everything with A. We're going to right click, go to merge vertices, and we're going to go to by distance. Down here, you're going to see how many verts were deleted. So in this case, it was 8 because we had 4 plus another 4 overlapping on top of each other. And over here, you're going to have a little box that you can change the value. Just leave it as it is. It's already good enough. And it should clear that issue. So now if I select it, you can see everything is highlighted around the edges there. And if I start to move it around, everything's back to normal. So now let's go ahead and select these 4 edges. I'm going to hit E to extrude and bring it out here. Now we're just going to change the shape a little more by selecting these two verts. You can either use the manipulator here to move or use the keyboard. So I'm going to just do both methods. We're going to move it down on the Z-axis, and I'm going to go back here and we're going to select these two verts, and I'm going to hit G and Z and move it on the Z-axis here as well. So now we changed our basic cube to this shape. And from here, what I want you to do is just mess around with this. Go ahead and like select more verts, cycle between the different things here. Just don't go into edge mode. You don't really need to go into that, but if you wanted to, you could, you know, technically do that and select the face, or just go into face selection mode and just mess around, change the shape around a little bit, extrude it around. Make sure you don't do it to like areas right here a little bit, because it could be a little weird. So you want to have these more open spaces, or kind of rotate around, get comfortable with sort of navigating around the viewport, seeing your model. And let's say you made a really crazy shape, but you don't really want it anymore. What you can do is go to object mode, and instead of doing Control Z to undo everything, we can just select this. So let me go back into object mode, select it, hit the X key, delete it, and then we can go Shift A, or if you prefer, you can go up here to the add menu under mesh. Here's where you can add the various different primitive shapes. You can add a cube here, or just do Shift A, mesh, and we'll add a cube, and we're back to normal. We got our default cube back. Now another thing to keep in mind is you can hover over things, and you can see there's a keyboard shortcut there. So in case you need to use a keyboard shortcut, you can do that. Otherwise, you can go up here. Now to go into this object menu, you can just right click. So go ahead and just practice that, and again, we'll get into more interesting stuff. This is just to get you comfortable with navigating around and just manipulating, in this case, the cube, so that we can modify the shape and start some basic 3D modeling. So in the next video, we're just going to talk about workspaces up here. It's going to be a quick one, and then we'll start getting into more interesting stuff. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.